Hi guys, today I'm going to share how to make tiramisu cupcake. I've got 1 tablespoon of coffee, half a teaspoon of cocoa powder, I use Dutch process, half a teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoon of vanilla, half a cup of milk, 2 eggs that we will separate the egg whites and the egg yolks, 4 tablespoons of sour cream. If you don't have sour cream, you can use plain yogurt, half a cup of butter, 2 tablespoons of sugar, that's for the meringue, 3/4 cup of sugar, and then 1.5 cups of plain flour. Ingredients, so that's the flour, the salt, the baking powder, the cocoa powder. Give it a mix and then we will set this aside. We will sift this later. Now combine the milk and the instant coffee. Give it a mix as well and set aside. Beat the butter. Make sure that the butter is at room temperature. Add the vanilla. Then add the sugar. Continue beating this for about a minute. And then occasionally stop, scrape down the side of the bowl. Now we can add in the sour cream. Again, if you can't find sour cream, use plain yogurt. Continue mixing. At this point, we're gonna stop and then we're gonna separate the egg yolks from the egg whites. The egg yolks will go to the butter mixture and the egg whites we're gonna use for the meringue later. So set aside the egg whites first, then continue beating the butter mixture. At this point, we're going to add the coffee mixture. At this point, you will notice that the mixture is splitting, but that's okay. It will come back into one smooth mixture once we add the flour. Or if you like, you can alternate the flour and the coffee mixture, so it doesn't split like this. But this is easier for me, so I'm doing this method. At this point, we can sift in the flour mixture. Now mix everything together using a spatula. As much as possible, do not overmix this. Now we'll set this aside while we move on to the meringue. So I've got the 2 egg yolks in here. I'm gonna beat this until it is frothy. Once it is frothy, I'm going to gradually add the 2 tablespoons of sugar. Once the sugar is all in, continue beating until we reach the stiff peak stage. And this is now the stiff peak stage. We're going to add the meringue into the cupcake batter into additions using the folding method. This will lighten up the cupcake batter. And this is now ready. By the way, I preheated my oven at 170 degrees Celsius. So I've got a cupcake pan in here lined with cupcake liners. I'm filling each hole about 3/4 of the way full. And then I'm gonna bake these in a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until when you insert a skewer in the middle and the skewer comes out clean. And this is what it looks like after baking. It is important to let it cool down on a wire rack. So for the coffee paste, we're gonna need half a teaspoon of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of instant coffee, and 1 teaspoon of water. We're gonna mix this together until it becomes a paste. And now we will set this aside. So instead of using cocoa powder on top of the cupcake, I'm using grated chocolate. This is optional. So this is the ingredients for the icing. 3 cups of powdered sugar, half a cup of room temperature butter. This is mascarpone or mascarpone cheese, which is 250 grams, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Combine the butter and the mascarpone or mascarpone cheese. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, so forgive me. So we're just gonna beat this until it is well combined. We'll add the sugar. I added the sugar in 2 additions. Scrape down the side of the bowl. And at this point, I'm dividing the butter. 1/3 of it will go as a filling. This is where I'll add the coffee paste. The other one, I'm gonna put vanilla. So this is the coffee paste that we made before. This will be in the middle of the cupcake. So it's up to you how much coffee paste will you add. I added all of my coffee paste. And for the icing, the white part, I added 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So now I'm creating a hole in the center of the cupcake. Do not discard the trimmings of the cupcake. We're gonna use some part of it to cover the hole that we created. So I place my coffee icing in a piping bag, and then I'm filling the whole of the cupcake. And then, like what I said, this is the discarded part of the cupcake. We're gonna use it to fill the center, or it's optional. Now we're gonna put the icing, the vanilla mascarpone ice cream in the center. It doesn't need to be perfect because we're gonna cover this with the chocolate shavings. So instead of cocoa powder, I'm using dark chocolate shavings on top of the cheesecake. At this point, the cupcake is not looking pretty, so what we're gonna do is to decorate it with melted chocolate or chocolate black. So I melted about 100 grams of white chocolate, then same amount of dark baking chocolate in the microwave. I'm gonna let this sit a little bit. And I'm using cookie cutters, a small round cookie cutter and a heart-shaped cookie cutter. I'm gonna set this a little bit in the fridge for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then you can feel the chocolate black easily. Decoration for the cupcake is up to you. So this is just optional. So I'm putting the round one first, and then I'm adding the heart shape next. So however you decorate the cupcake is up to you. And this is the finished product. These are so good. I can guarantee that you're gonna love it. It's got the authentic flavor of tiramisu. By the way, the texture of the icing is slightly different if you use cream cheese icing. If you cannot find mascarpone cheese, you can use cream cheese as well. I hope you give this a try. You will not be disappointed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!